Good morning, children. Today's moral science story is about Helen Keller. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, not the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. And while the law of competition may be sometimes hard for the individual, it is the best for the race because it ensures the survival of the fittest in every department. Now let's keep in mind, be clear about your goals. Do not let difficult situations pull you down. Remember, there is no problem that cannot be solved. Always have a positive attitude. Wise thought from this story is when one door of happiness closes, another opens. But we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one which has opened for us. Helen Keller was born in Alabama on June 27, 1880. Her infancy was normal until a year and a half of age. Then a strange disease struck her. The doctors described it as an acute congestion of the stomach and brain. The disease rendered her deaf and blind. The next years were hellish for her family as they knew no way to find a way through her double disabilities to communicate with her. Till the age of 7, she spent most of her time locked in her isolated dark world, unable to understand and relate to people around her. Helen's father then consulted Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone, who was also a teacher of the deaf. He suggested the family to hire a young woman named Annie Sullivan to tutor the young Helen. On March 3, 1887, Helen met the woman who could change her life forever. For the first time, she was just 3 months short of turning 7 years old. It was the important day I remember in all my life, Helen later said. However, Annie Sullivan found Helen to be angry, wild, and animal like. She was so troubled and angry at not being able to communicate with others that she struck out at others, scratched, and hurled herself to the ground. Annie knew her task was in no way easy, but she was determined to help Helen. She started observing Helen closely and noticed that she used to touch to explore things around her. Sullivan had devised a method of making hand signs that Helen could understand by pressing her hand, making the signs into Helen's palm. Though Helen hated this at first, she soon started making a connection between the items or objects and hand movements. One day, Annie was delighted to see that Helen spelled the word water and put her hand under the flow of pump. Helen had finally understood the concept of words. As for herself, Helen was ecstatic. She ran around the yard, touching, holding, and pointing at things and taking Sullivan's help to spell them. Later, she even learned to speak by pressing her fingers against Annie's throat and imitating the vibrations. Now that she had learned to communicate, Helen's desire to learn grew. She learned the finger tip alphabet and shortly thereafter to write. She mastered Braille and learned to use the typewriter by the age of 10. In 1904, she graduated from Radcliffe College. Helen then dedicated her life to improving the lives of other blind and deaf people. She also worked tirelessly to improve the world itself. She spoke out for women's rights. During World War II, she visited soldiers who had become blind and deaf due to their injuries. She raised funds for the deaf and blind. Throughout her life, she met many famous people and had many great experiences. She even met the president of her country. She became a champion for the blind and deaf and wrote many books in her lifetime. These are the beautiful words said by Helen Keller. The mystery of language was revealed to me. I knew then that water, water, meant the wonderful, cool something that was flowing over my hand. That living word awakened my soul, gave it light, joy, and set it free. Helen Keller was a strong, intelligent woman. She overcame all the obstacles life handed to her to go on and improve not only her own life but the lives of others. In 1964, she was awarded the highest civilian honor of the United States, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, by the President. She will go down in history as a lady of courage. It is from Helen that we learn about overcoming all odds, that no problem is big enough and no obstacle is tall enough to hold us down, and that We can overcome all difficulties if we are strong and determined. Dear children, you decide from today that from now on I will not give up on something I find difficult in the beginning. Understand that there will be problems that everybody have. Always think positively. Now it's question time. How did Helen learn to communicate with others? Second question, Helen was a lady of courage. Do you agree? Why? Who was Annie Sullivan? How did she help Helen Keller? Answer these questions, children. Thank you.